Cowboys in a similar situation, not surprisingly. CeeDee Lamb absent from OTAs as he tries to leverage his second contract. He's in the fifth-year option, just like Justin Jefferson, due to make $17.99 million this year. There's a formula that determines the fifth-year option. There are different factors that go into it. So Jefferson, based upon his first 3 years, did enough to get to 19.743, and CeeDee Lamb at 17.99. And, we've talked about the Cowboys' situation at length between Lamb, Dak Prescott, Micah Parsons. They just tend to bungle these things, and they wait too long, and sometimes they pay too much. Sometimes they don't pay enough. And I know your concern, Chris, is going to be that based upon his usage last year and his numbers last year, they may end up paying him more than they should.
Definitely. I think this is harder than Justin Jefferson. I do. I mean, Justin Jefferson's plain and simple. It's just like, how much do we make him the richest paid wide receiver in football history by? That's that. And I know that's not easy, as we just discussed. But this one is a little different. One, I think you look at it, and CeeDee Lamb is not Justin Jefferson. That would be the first thing I would say. Jefferson is, to me, in a different class from him, right? And then, as we talked about here too, CeeDee Lamb, I think, is going to look at it, though, and go, wait, right? I mean, I led the NFL in receiving yards last year. So I think he's going to try to want to gauge Justin Jefferson, what a Jamar Chase might get, and all that, because he views himself in that class, which I'm not mad at himself for viewing himself like that. I don't view him like that. I don't think most of the NFL views him quite in that category, but he is damn good. And to the point you just brought up, and we've talked about a lot lately, come on. By far the number one weapon on the Cowboys offense, right? I know I might not be as high on CeeDee Lamb as maybe other people in the world, and I don't think he's necessarily a top 4 or 5 receiver in football, but I know he's damn good, and I know he's damn clearly, the best skill guy the Cowboys got right now, that's for sure. So that's where he's got more leverage in this situation too, Mike. And yeah, this is one where I'm very interested. I'm confident Minnesota gets done at some point. It might not be right away. This is one I look at it and all the other things that Dallas has to balance right now between Micah and Dak Prescott and all that. I could see this dragging on and getting a little uncomfortable. I really wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, and the fact that they really don't have star running back right now. I mean, CeeDee Lamb is more important to that team, and they wait, in hindsight, should have done it last year. Lock him up long term. You want him, lock him up long term. They waited too long with Dak. They're waiting too long with CeeDee Lamb, and they're going to end up waiting too long with Micah Parsons. Because Micah Parsons should already have his second deal too. But the problem is they don't have the money to do it. They don't have the cap space to do it. And as you said from the get-go, Parsons should not set foot on any practice field anywhere. Game, practice,
he's a no-brainer. Right?
Until he gets his deal.
Yeah.
Because he's in a position where he's got a greater risk of injury. These other guys don't have the same injury risk that's getting foisted onto the team and stays with them until they do the long-term deal. Parsons carries that huge injury risk until he gets his contract, and he's clearly done enough to be paid like one of the top defensive players in the NFL, and it's only going to get more expensive. Unless you're going to bet against your guy and say, gee, maybe he's suddenly going to fall off, or maybe he's going to suffer a career-altering injury. But you don't want to be in the business of making those bets. You want to rally around the guys that are great players. You want to celebrate them, compensate them, and have them in the right mindset where they go out there and give you the return on your investment.
Yeah, and that's where they're in trouble here. Because that one's no-brainer in, hey, like, if I talk to 10 NFL head coaches, I think the majority of those 10 would say, no, CeeDee Lamb's not a top 5 receiver, but in the top 10 conversation, right? If I talk to those same 10 coaches and we got into Micah Parsons, it'd be like, puh. I mean, definitely one of the 2 or 3 best defensive players in football. That's not a discussion for anybody in the sport, right? I mean, he's in a rare class there. He, T.J. Watt, Bosa, Myles Garrett. They're kind of in their own stratosphere. This is like no crap. Yeah, you're going to pay him the highest paid defensive contract in the history of football. That's what you're going to pay. But then there's the CeeDee Lamb thing with the Justin Jefferson connection and him looking at it going, wait, I got 1,700 yards last year and I was the go-to guy and all that. I want to be paid like maybe the highest receiver in the history of football. And wow, I mean, there's a lot to do there. And that's where, I mean, if I'm the Cowboys, there's no doubt who I'm prioritizing in that conversation. I mean, I'm getting the deal done with Micah first. We got to see where that goes, and then we'll go from there. And that's going to complicate the CeeDee Lamb thing as well. And that's why I come with the CeeDee Lamb thing, and I want to be like, the old Cowboy player Terrell Owens and just get some popcorn and be like, well, this is going to be fun to watch. What are they going to do here? How's Jerry going to oil slick his way out of this one? Ooh, this is going to be good.
The other wrinkle, too, and I think Jerry has suggested this, that CeeDee Lamb wants to wait to see what Justin Jefferson does. Well, there's one way around that. You know how you get around that? You say, here's our offer. Here it is. This is it. It's never going to get any better. This is it. And you have to, he's got a propensity to throw his arm around a guy and have a conversation with him. They need to have a candid conversation. Because it's one thing to talk in the abstract and hypotheticals about would I take this, would I take that. When you start putting real money on the table and it's there, and it might not be there tomorrow, but it's there today, that changes everything. All of a sudden, I'm not so concerned about waiting for Justin Jefferson. All of a sudden, I kind of like what I got here, and I don't want to put that at risk. You're not putting anything at risk until there's an offer on the table. And I'm not suggesting that they do some hard-ass move like give them an ultimatum or say, it's going to go down $100,000 every hour that you don't take it or whatever the case may be. But there's a way to pierce through this idea that he just wants to wait for Justin Jefferson. You put a real offer on the table, he won't wait for Justin Jefferson.
I hear you. It's interesting. It is, right? Yeah, I mean, it's hard for a player. You put down a real competitive offer that's sitting out there. Yeah, but again, I'm intrigued by where CeeDee Lamb's head is in this. And hey, by all due accounts, I mean, listen, he's confident. He went to Oklahoma. He's the Dallas Cowboys. He knows he's got them, boxed into a corner a little bit there. And I just wonder if he'll settle. I do. And I think he is going to be kind of trying to gauge that Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson market and what they might get, and at least trying to be close in the ballpark for what they might get, and those numbers are. And I think that can lead to, some confusing conversations down there in Dallas.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.